Welcome back to j.p. Sports Talks. We're back, episode number
We don't
12.
know at this point.
Yeah, who knows?
Because they go, when we record them, we put them up on different times. They're kind of out of order. So some of the episodes we've been saying, we've said 11 like 3 times, I think we've said, but they're all like 8, 9, and 10 anyway. So just don't worry about it. We're in the double digits. That's all I need to know. But keep going.
Something like that. Couple things to address. First off, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. But
yep, we had a great time. I know. I had a great time with my family. So
definitely me too. I was gone for Thanksgiving, so
yeah,
we couldn't get as
able to record
as we'd like to. But we're back and we're ready for the grind. As you see the Christmas lights behind Jack there.
I think those might have been up for the last episode. I could be wrong though. I don't think they were, but they might have been.
We're back, and I think we have a pretty open schedule. Again, if you want if you want to be on the show, comment, follow our Instagram. If you follow our Instagram, your chance of getting on the show is higher because we'll see you more. Like our Instagram, all that j.P.Sportstalk. I think.
By the way, I've said in the past that me and him will always be like, we'll see your DMs and everything. Yeah. I don't use Instagram anymore, so if you're gonna DM, just DM the page, you'll even have a better chance if you DM j.P.Sportstalk. So just do that and comment. Once again, the comments are terrible with YouTube. No offense, YouTube, we love you. But we don't know what's gonna happen with them, so they might be on, they might be off.
They were on the last video, so that's pretty sick. But we're back. Today we are talking about NFL.
Never.
If I remember correctly, we haven't talked about NFL in about a week or so.
We haven't talked about MLB in like a month.
That's true.
But don't worry, we just have to get all the times right, but we're gonna have a really, really nice MLB episode. It's gonna be 2 parts, we think. So I think you guys will really enjoy that. But so all you itching for the MLB stuff, just be ready. It's coming.
Alrighty, so starting off with NFL, this is gonna take a flashback to episode number 10, our favorite player episode. We both had number 1 Will Fuller, and Will Fuller just got suspended for 6 games for using player-enhancing drugs or player-enhancing steroids, or performance-enhancing, my bad. But his claim, I can read it out right now if you want, but it was something along the lines of he went to a medical doctor for help, and the medical doctor said that the drug was inside of the NFL's rules, and it was Will's fault for trusting the doctor and not checking because he thought the doctor was actually gonna, check for him. But we're gonna each have our take on this. Jack, you go first.
You can understand it. He said, obviously, he did still. He knows it. He did say it was his fault because he placed his trust in a doctor when he shouldn't, in this doctor, which he shouldn't have. But it is his. Even though the doctor prescribed him with it and he trusted him, it is still his fault. He controls what he puts in his body. It's just, for me, he's been my favorite player ever since his probably not sophomore, but his junior year at Notre Dame. Yeah, he's been my favorite football player. When he got drafted, he became my favorite player in all sports, and that's saying something because football is not a top 2 sport for me. So the fact that he's up there means that I really like him, and I do. And it hurts my heart to know that he used player-enhancing or performance-enhancing substances, especially because we both knew as soon as we both knew it. A lot of people didn't do it, but if we both knew that now that Hopkins was gone, even though Brandon Cooks has had a really good year too, we knew Will Fuller was going to be the main guy. Yeah. And we both knew that if he stayed healthy, which has been a problem for him over the years, but that if he stayed healthy, he would have a monster season. And I don't know if monster has been the word, but he's had a really, really, really good year. Mm-hmm. Maybe a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL this season, but obviously now that he's suspended and the PEDs, it's totally different. This is going to be really interesting time of his life because he's going to be an upcoming free agent this year. And so now his future with the Texans is questionable and his future in the NFL is questionable because if he would have kept this up and if he didn't use drugs and he'd still been this good, he would have a chance at maybe a big contract, or he would really can go to a contender and get his money and win a Super Bowl, because the Texans are not that team right now. But it just hurts my heart, and I don't know. I'm sad. I'm sad.
Yeah, my take, I'm gonna first come out with the fact that Will Fuller was on pace for 1,347 yards, I believe. Brandon Cooks is on pace for 1,000 yards receiving,
Well, yeah.
but Fuller, I think Fuller would have won a different direction if he stayed healthy, or in this case stayed clean. I think he would have I think not only would the Texans have offered him, because they didn't want to lose him too, because they need a wide receiver. And he is their clear number one in my opinion, but especially stats show it. But they would have kept him. They would have signed him up for like a 4-year deal, and then Watson to Fuller for 4 more years, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the Texans are going to re-sign him anymore, because he used those PEDs. And like you said, it kind of like, with all my heart, I want to say, oh, this is just a mistake, but I feel like he knows what was going into his body, and even if it's his fault, like, something's telling me that he knows what's going in. And I don't want to say this is on purpose, but like, I don't think it was on accident either. And if it was, he has to he has to be aware of what's getting pumped into his blood. So yeah, so I was just going to bring up Texans without Will Fuller now will probably have an even higher draft pick. And yeah, I'd say they'd have to draft a wide receiver, especially if they don't sign Will Fuller, re-sign him, I guess. But the best wide receiver in this draft is not projected till much later. Where do they go here?
Oh man, the thing is with this Texans team is that they don't really have, you think of them, you think of the Texans just recently over the years, they've been a playoff team. This year is not the case, especially now Will Fuller's out. They're not going to make the playoffs. Their season is essentially over. They're fighting for a draft pick now. You look at this team though, and you see superstar, and you think superstar. You see one player who's a superstar on this team. That's J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt is the best player on the Texans. He's been for the past 5+ years. And I think there's just so many spots. You see him and Deshaun Watson, and then maybe Justin Reed, maybe Will Fuller. But this team isn't good. They have so many needs. They could go offensive line. They don't have good tight ends. They could go a receiver. They could go a running back. They could go corners now that Bradley Roby's suspended. They could go linebackers. Their linebackers aren't great. Just really anything. The secondary. Yeah, D-line even. Even though they have J.J. Watt, I don't know. We don't know how long he's going to stay there. I assume he's going to be a Texan for life. Even I don't know if he started there, but I assume he's going to finish there because he's done so much for that team, even if they are bad. But I don't know. They've got a lot of places to go, and luckily for this year, this isn't a super good. There's not a bunch of star talent, I don't think, in this draft, but it is a deep draft, I feel like. So we'll see if they can get some steals, hopefully, man. Hopefully for this Texans team.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Right now, if I was a Texas GM, I would trade down to 25 or so and pick up Rondale Moore, speedster out of Purdue. I'm really high on him personally, but
you are, yeah, you are
there. Well, also, this is for future episodes. Over the offseason of the NFL, we'll drop our own mock drafts for each.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. We're going to have at least one.
Episodes.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, and we might live stream the draft. We'll see.
We'll see, yeah. We would have maybe done it for the NBA draft, but, that was just a few weeks after we even started this.
Yeah.
I couldn't anyway. I wasn't free that night, so.
But we go to I would say you hit it, this offense is this okay. My comparison might hit close to home for you. My comparison is the New York Giants for them. I think they're a bit better than the Giants because of the quarterback play, but 2 stars, Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt. For the Giants, it's Saquon and I'd say Evan Ingram.
Maybe. Evan Ingram hasn't been great this year, I'd say.
Yeah.
Saquon and maybe Darius Slayton the way he's been playing this year.
Yeah, I mean Darius Slayton, I'd say is like Will Fuller, where it's like borderline, maybe like third best player on the team, but like not
Yeah.
by any means a superstar. And it's like they have so many holes, but it's like they need a high draft pick to make an impact.
Shepard's been good when he's been healthy this year.
Correct.
He's played I think 5 games this year and he's been pretty good. So
Yeah, so the big difference there, in my opinion, is quarterback Deshaun Watson and quarterback Daniel Jones, which leads us right into our next segment.
yes.
Daniel Jones hurt. You're a Giants fan. You'll take over for this one.
Yeah. So Daniel Jones, she did something to his hamstring. He either like strained it or he pulled it or something. But I still don't think they know how serious of an injury it is because they're not really giving him a timeline right now. So it looks like Cole McCoy will start, but I don't know yet how much this is going to affect the Giants team because Daniel Jones, while he gets all the jokes for being the number 6 pick, they really reached for him. Besides the fumbles of last year, he actually had a pretty solid year. He did more than what people thought he would. This year has not been the same case, but I think that he is still a quality quarterback. I don't think he's ours of the future, but I think for now, until we can really get like a guy like Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence, which we don't have a chance at this point. I think that he can be our guy. I don't know if you have much to say on this, but I think we could jump right into the Giants and that NFC East right now because when we first talked on our first episode, we were talking about how terrible the NFC East is. That hasn't changed, but I think it's crazy how, for me, even as a Giants fan, coming into the season, I figured the Giants would be the second worst team in football, maybe, and right now they're at top of the division. So this has been a crazy year, and especially the NFC East. What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, so if the Giants make the playoffs, if they win their division is what I'm saying, because none of those teams would make the playoffs if they weren't in that division. But if they make the playoffs, they will be the first team ever to start 1-7 and still make the playoffs, which is crazy.
They're there.
Because they might only finish all of like 7-9. So
They might go
turn around. But yeah, 6-10 maybe. I'm gonna hone in here on the Eagles. So
Okay.
Eagles versus Seahawks game. Part of this division. I feel like we're gonna talk about this division a lot, NFC East, because they're horrible and it's actually kind of a lot of fun.
It is. It's the most interesting division of football right now.
Being one game out of the playoffs and one game out of the first round draft pick, because I'm a college guy and I love the draft and I just and like competitiveness is so much fun even if it's bad teams, for me at least. But Eagles, if I had to pick right now, I think the Eagles are going to the playoffs and they're going to win their division, because the Eagles, just watching them play against Seattle, and Seattle did not have a good game. Final score 23-17. Seattle did not have a good game, but the Eagles, for being such a bad team, still kind of competed. And when I mean kind of, I mean like really competed with them. So, yeah. If you have any takes left on the NFC East, go ahead.
Wow. Well, this isn't usually what we talk about, but at the time we're watching this, Texas just hit a game winner, so that's cool. We're not really a college basketball podcast. If you guys want to see college basketball, I mean, hey, that's not a bad idea. The season started back up, so let us know.
College basketball, yeah, definitely.
I would be so down for doing college basketball.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
But on the NFL note, Jets are still 0-11. I just wanted to say that. But kind of back to the Texans. I was gonna say this just about their wide receiver core. They have Brandon Cooks for this year. He's making $8 million, and then they have him until 2023. So, he's gonna be at $12 million at that point, and he's gonna be about 5% of their cap hit. Which, when you think about it, it's a pretty good amount. So I see them trading Brandon Cooks in the future. But they did sign him until he's 30, or they did trade for him on a contract where he's gonna finish off until he's 30. So if they don't end up trading him between now and then, because this Texans team is a team where like you would like to see them rebuild, but it's also not a team that's going to be rebuilding with a quarterback as young and as good as Deshaun Watson. So, I think Brandon Cooks just doesn't really fit the timeline of that team. So that's a little something. But,
Yeah. So, quick note just to wrap up the Texan side because we've talked a lot about the Houston Texans. You're right, Deshaun Watson, like they have a superstar young quarterback, but their next best young player is like Kiki Cutie probably, I'd say.
or Justin Reed.
Justin Reed, I get, yeah.
Maybe.
But like those three are first three that come to mind besides maybe like Nick Martin, but he's not even that young.
He's having a pretty solid year though. He's about 24, I think.
Yeah. So they really don't like. They either need to hit the hard rebuild and try to contend when Deshaun Watson's 30, or like completely trade away Deshaun and everyone. Deshaun to the Bears possibly, and like a blockbuster deal for draft capital. Maybe that OKC is doing.
The Bears seem to be really good at losing draft picks, so.
Yeah. So, like I said, they could try to do what OKC is doing, get like 24 first-round draft picks in the next 6 years.
I know. It's insane.
But we, yeah, so next thing I want to touch up on is a stat that I saw earlier. Kyler Murray, it showed his passing stats, and it said that if he were not, if he did not have like his rushing stats, he would be bottom like 5 quarterback in the league, which is crazy because Nick Foles / like Mitch Trubisky and like Daniel Jones, all like the bad quarterbacks are like, I feel like
Go.
Sorry we left off there, but like I was saying, Murray without his arm, like without his legs, are tremendously worse. And I think Cardinals are starting to show how overrated they are. They're 1 game out of 500, which is pretty horrible. Like,
I mean,
it's not horrible. I'm sorry, it's not horrible. I was misspeaking, but it's definitely not as good as I thought they were going to be. So yeah, right before we get into power rankings, I just wanted to say this is college football, but an update just came out that number 13 BYU undefeated has agreed to play number 18 Coastal Carolina, 2 of the best group of 5 teams. So that's huge for BYU because if they win that, they might get into the playoffs. Anyway, going back with just our last segment, we're going power rankings. Jack, you want to lead us off here?
Yeah, so quick story. Today or yesterday, I was scrolling through the Bleacher Report app. By the way, it's a great app. If you don't have it, it's a great app. It gets you updates before ESPN. So,
that's true. That is true.
I was looking at their power rankings, and I saw some questionable things. I only saw the top 5, but I did see the fact that the Chiefs were over the Steelers, and I don't think that's necessarily like a surprise, but it's something to talk about because that's a big question between right now, I think, is who's the better team, Steelers or Chiefs. Right now, the Steelers are playing right now, and they're actually playing the Ravens as we record this. But the Chiefs are, they're 8-1, maybe 9-1 now, and the Steelers are looking like they're going to be 10-11-0 or 10-0, and it's just interesting. I think I would have the Steelers over the Chiefs, but it really is interesting because at that point when they made this, the Steelers hadn't played their game yet. So I don't know. What do you think about it?
All right. I've pretty sure I said this on the podcast, but I've said this from day one. An undefeated team with a bad schedule, like they're almost better than a 1-loss team, unless it's college football because there's 26 or 126 teams in college football. But in the NFL, everyone's saying like the Steelers have like a horrible schedule. They play the Ravens twice, and yeah, their schedule is worse than the Chiefs, I'd say. But the Chiefs' schedule isn't like, it's not overpowered either. It's not they're playing number 1, 2, 3, 4 every week. Like they have easy games too. They've lost to the Raiders, and the Steelers have not lost. Like, they almost lost to the Cowboys, but everyone has a fluke week, and for some teams it's worse than others. The fluke week was a win, which is big, and yeah, that's I'm going Steelers. Chiefs are not far behind though. Chiefs.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. It's real close. I would put the Steelers ahead too. That's kind of it. There's one thing though. TikTok might blow up tomorrow. Trace McSorley. This is not a joke, guys. Trace McSorley came into the game for RG3 and just threw a 70-yard touchdown pass. And the Ravens are only down by 5 with 2 minutes left. If McSorley brings them to a win, TikTok is going to explode. But I think
that's interesting.
Especially against an undefeated team. That'd be unbelievable.
One last thing to say, however, is we can't see that.
Unfortunately.
One last thing to say is if you guys do remember, we had a guest by name Owen Tomko. He started his own podcast on college football.
That's amazing.
It's pretty sick, actually. College football and NFL. Go check it out. We'll have it linked in the description. Yeah, the name is After the Whistle, I believe. But we'll have it linked in the description. But that's all for me.
We out, ladies and gentlemen.